Sam Darnold's getting first-team reps with the
How do you
Minnesota
feel
Vikings.
about this? Do you like it?
Yeah, I love it.
I love it. I think it's the way to go. I think when you have young players, you're always pulling a couple levers. One of the levers is confidence, right? And the other lever is pressure. And like if you have a healthy dose of both, like that player is going to succeed if he's good enough. Housekeeping. All right, little housekeeping here. We've got Rick Carlisle on today, who's Macon's best friend.
Yeah. Can you believe that?
Yeah,
Dude, you know how you vibed so well with Chris Webber?
that's you and Rick Carlisle.
That's Rick and me.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, man.
Dude, Chris Webber was incredible.
Yeah. Awesome interview. Seriously.
Did you-
Sincerely.
you,
yes.
You like the middle.
Sincerely. The middle happened to be the best part, but I actually listened this time. Fantastic interview.
So here's the deal. If you're listening, it is Friday morning. That Chris Webber video on YouTube has been up a while. Some people comment on our YouTube and say, what is this fucking shadow banned channel? Like we should have more views. So help us out. Chris Webber is out there sitting there reacting to the loss of Jerry West, talking about Michael Jordan, talking about LeBron. He was there. This is one of my favorite things to ask him about was the LeBron 25 points in a row game in Game 6. It was 2007 or 8.
7.
And he was on that Detroit team. Some people forget. Kind of did a homecoming veteran deal with the Pistons and was there front row seat in the huddle as these guys are real time reacting to the next best thing in basketball, ripping off 25 points on a really veteran team, like the toughest team in the NBA.
Yeah. And I predict you and Chris Webber will be friends.
Dude, I hope so. I really, there's some athletes you meet, you're like, yeah, if we played together, we'd be boys.
He texted me back and was like, I can't wait to hit him up and play Madden.
Yeah, so I'm going to play Madden against Chris Webber. That's pretty cool. This job has taken me some cool places. And I liked Chris before I interviewed him, but he's one of those people that, like, once you interview him, you're like, oh, my God, I get it. And then texting people like, yo, people in the NBA, hey, I met Chris Webber. He was amazing. And there was no like, no, he's actually an asshole. Everybody loves Chris Webber. My old producer from inside the NFL who worked on the TNT show, he's like, Chris is the best. So check that interview out. It was a lot of fun.
It was great. And Rick Carlisle, I think we should note, sneaky all-time basketball career period.
Yeah.
He goes to Maine to play college ball, then transfers to Virginia.
Right.
Gets to a Final Four after Ralph Sampson has left.
Right.
Goes to the Celtics. He's on the 86 title team. And then has this phenomenal coaching career, now over 1,000 wins with a title in 2011 in Dallas. And his teams that just consistently overperform.
Champ as a coach, champ as a player, was part of those Celtics teams in the mid-'80s.
And Final Four as a college player. That
I don't know how
we
many.
may not have
I don't
one of
know if
those.
there's another one.
We'll get research on that.
Yeah, we'll get research on it. But Rick is one of those old school coaches.
Yeah.
You know, you can tell talking to him.
Yeah.
He's tough.
And his answers are great.
They're great answers. So enjoy this interview. I know it's a lot of basketball for some of you NFL heads. We're going to talk about the NFL here in the open. And also, just a little heads up what's coming down the pipe here. We have a surplus of great guests. Monday, we've got Sean McVay. This is one of my favorite interviews I've done all year. Getting a chance to talk to Sean McVay is like talking to a football machine. Like for 30 minutes, the producers on this show, when he said his goodbyes and hopped off Zoom, they were like, I get it. Like, I totally get it now. Like, I don't know if you guys didn't get it before.
I did not get it before. I didn't maybe have the strongest, highest opinion of Sean McVay.
Oh.
But that
McVay hater.
The opinion has changed.
Is it his pecs?
Probably the hair. Or the
jawline.
Yeah,
guy's huge. He's not huge, but he's huge.
Yeah.
But he's a great dude. Ever since I left the Rams, every time I've run into him, he's just been so cool. And now we've got a bunch of the same friends because some of those people on those teams are still there. You know, Aaron's gone, but the trainers are still there. Some of the staff members. And so I feel like we know all the same people. It was a lot of fun talking to Sean McVay. And we've got Justin Reed. So we're going to double stack the football guests on Monday. So coming out of the weekend, give it a listen, give it a watch. And yeah, if you got spare 40 minutes, check out Chris Webber.
For sure.
On youtube.com.
And one note, Pat Riley made a Final Four did the championship as a player with the Lakers,
Oh.
and then many championships with the Lakers. as a
Okay.
coach.
That's so interesting.
Pat and Rick.
Okay. Yeah. Anyways, a little bit of housekeeping on the Bussin' with the Boys thing. Hey, from my lips to God's ears,
Beer Olympics.
has moved. It's moved to Nashville. So much better for your boys. So much better for the staff here that I was going to drag across the country to Vegas for like 36 hours. I am out on Vegas. I just am.
Yay, welcome.
Yeah, I'm officially out on Vegas.
Yeah.
You'll understand when you're 39 and you have 3 kids, and even vacation to yourself doesn't feel like a vacation because you're just accruing debt in your household and at the slot machine or in the sports book, and you don't go outside. And when you do, there's no trees and it's too hot. Like Vegas is not where it's at. And I'm really happy that the event's in Nashville. I don't spend enough time in Nashville. We're going to parlay this into an opportunity here at the Greenlight Studios. Myself, Cowboy Reed, possibly Matt, possibly Nate. I mean, Macon already said no.
Well,
We're going to hop in the RV on Sunday, and we're going to stop in Southwest Virginia. We're going to do a float in Southwest Virginia.
Yeah,
We're gonna do a float in Tennessee the next day. He's a no. So anybody who lives in Southwest Virginia, give us a really nice stretch of river that I can get my whitewater kayak in the river, and also something that would accommodate somebody like Matt, who has a habit of hugging rocks at times.
busting his face
Busting
open.
his face open on rocks. We want to have fun. Like Southwest Virginia, I'd say would be a good beer drinking kind of float. So if there's a stretch of the new that anybody listening knows that doesn't creep up past class 3, low class 3, that'd be great. I don't want any fatalities. And then the next day,
serious question.
yeah.
If you do pass away in one of these rivers, which is inevitable, does the NFL keep paying your family pension money? Is that how it works?
No, but it would be nice if the Eagles would put a little kayak patch on their jersey.
Oh, were you there long enough? I mean, I know there's a
no,
Super
maybe
Bowl.
the Rams.
Yeah, just NFL
Who the
league wide.
Who the
kayak
fuck is
patch.
Joel? Anyways, excited about parking that RV in the driveway and spending a night with the guys at Bussin'.
Whose driveway? Will's?
Whoever's driveway owns the house. I think they're renting this mansion in Nashville. So
Okay.
I'll be parked in the driveway with the crew. And it'll be like Uncle.
Wait, y'all
was it
are all
Eddie?
gonna
Cousin
sleep?
Eddie? Cousin Eddie? I'm like Cousin Eddie at the Bussin' with the boys.
Shitter's
You
full?
can bring
yeah.
your own campfire.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm going to bring a
Chairs.
solo stove. I'm going to have a whole setup.
Are you guys all
Probably
going
has
to
plenty of
sleep
room.
in the same vehicle?
Yeah, I think so.
We need 2 vehicles if we're going to float, though, right?
We probably do, but I am going to look at like a.
Well, no, that's
a
why
kayak
our
attachment
listeners.
on the back of my.
That's why we get our listeners. They'll put us in.
They'll give us a boat.
No, a ride.
No, I know, but we need.
How about a
two-
home, a
What
bed?
he's talking
Yeah.
about, you need a vehicle for the put in and take out, but you also need a vehicle to haul your boats.
Just get
And-
we'll get a roof rack.
We get a roof.
I'll sit on top with the boats
Okay.
during the drive.
Yeah.
If I
And
We're
we'll
hosting you-
We'll put a patch.
if I
We'll put
were
like
hosting
a
you all
gain dial patch.
and you all were not known to me, Cowboy Reed would easily be the best house guest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd be 2,
Mhm.
Chris, and Kingston. I think you'd be 3. Oh, Nate would be a distant 4.
No bad house guests. Okay, except for Nate.
Well,
Yeah, you just don't know.
yeah, no, all in the good
Has he ever stayed in
category.
your house?
No, I'm saying if you,
I've cohabitated with Nate for weeks on end.
if you guys were not known to me.
Yeah, if you weren't known.
I've cohabitated with Macon and he doesn't seem to like it.
What
Should
when
ask
have
his
we?
wife
I
about
used to stay at your house.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, you slept in the bathtub one night.
All right. Do we have a hello?
Wasilla, Alaska. I was really trying to hope to get that to Wasilla, Alaska. You know,
Uh-huh.
that's when you merge a couple words
Mhm.
together. You know, Wasilla, Alaska. Hello,
Why? Because of
hometown
Larry.
of Bristol Palin.
This is not where I was going, but Sarah Palin, anything Alaska, she just comes up. Okay, Larry Csonka lives there too. Can you roll that Larry Csonka audio?
Greatest team. We took the goddamn thing. That's what happened. I'm tired of people telling me how they named us. They named us shit. We took it. I don't have any emotional response. No,
Obviously, you're aware there have been some rankings that did not have you number 1. Were you at all surprised that you would not be in this time?
No, I'm not surprised.
I'm sure he felt he deserved to be.
Fellas, you're missing the whole point. It's a team sport. When you achieve perfection, there is no single entity that leads in that respect. You don't have the leading rusher. You might not have the leading wide receiver. You might not have the leading tackler in the game. The fact of the matter is that you concentrate more on winning than individual performance. So when you talk about great entities in the league, those are detrimental to the winning aspect because you become one-dimensional. So if you all work together and don't let your egos get in the way, which is easy when Shula has his foot up your butt, then and only then you may attain a perfect season.
So basically, I guess the question had something to do with them being slighted in some capacity. And one of these lists that listed the greatest teams of all time, of course, the 72 Dolphins, who went 17-0, 14-0 in the regular season. So the test was different back in the day. There were less questions, and the questions were a little easier, you could argue. But that was the game they were playing. And they won 14 straight in the regular season. They won 3 to win the Super Bowl. And they won it with a backup quarterback. I mean, not the Super Bowl, but much of the season, Bob Greasy was out. There was a guy named Earl Morrell, like the mushroom. They had a backfield that featured Mercury Morris and Larry Csonka, 2,000-yard rushers. Obviously, Larry Csonka was a fullback. He was like a Peterbilt out there. For young fans that don't know Larry Csonka, this guy was part of the lexicon back in the day. I mean, like, he was football royalty, dude. This team was football royalty. And, you know, like, for a guy that ate glass for a living, he's 77. I think he looks fucking fantastic. He sounds like a philosopher, and he looks like an aging movie star. And for all the you guys are all going to die early, and you're going to have, you know, all these terrible things happen to you if you played football for a long time. Well, this guy had 10 plus broken noses, spent multiple days in the hospital with concussions.
How do you have 10 noses?
The same nose, broke it 10 plus times, permanently deformed. I can't tell in the video. And at 77 years old, all that having been said, he's still got the warrior spirit intact, because the way he defended that team, I mean, I got goosebumps. You know, I don't care about the Dolphins. Larry Csonka is just a part of football history to me. But watching him talk about his team made me think, like, will I defend teams I was on or players I played with at 77 with the same passion that Larry Csonka was defending his 72 Dolphins team? Monty Clark, his coach, said this, and he was the running backs coach: when Larry Csonka goes on safari, the Lions roll up their windows. Okay, multiple stints in the hospital, as I mentioned, for concussions, 10 plus times breaking the same nose, and just a trail of destruction in his Dolphin wake. That's what this guy was all about. He did all this under the unrelenting heat of the Miami sun. And when he retired, he escaped to Alaska. He retreated to the south central region of Alaska. It's called Wasilla. And that's where the hello comes from. He was also on American Gladiator. He's done Iditarods. He's got outdoor programming that he runs out of Alaska. He just seems like a fucking movie character to me. And I love seeing him pop up. Haven't heard the guy talk in my entire adult life. You know, I wasn't like watching American Gladiator back in the day with an acute awareness of who Larry Csonka was. And watching him talk about his team got me fired up and got me wondering if I can go visit him in Wasilla, Alaska for a sit down at a fire pit. I'd love to do like a 2-hour interview with Larry Csonka.
Do it this summer.
Yeah.
When you go west. The craziest thing he ever did was wear the number 39.
So wild. Like, supposedly when they picked him up, they had to teach him how to run with the ball. We were watching highlights. The guy run
upright,
pretty erect,
and yet could not be brought down.
Could not be brought down, dude. Guys were bouncing off him. I mean, it for all the punishment that he took, I wonder how much he doled out. Like, if you really had a list of like all the bones that were broken by Larry Csonka's forearm, I think the list would be long. And I loved watching him make a little cameo on Twitter.
Maybe we could comp him to another 39, Steven Jackson.
Yeah.
He's a tough guy.
Honestly, Steven Jackson is a pretty good comp for Larry Csonka.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The running style, the erect nature of the running style, the punishing blows. I mean, when Steven Jackson was in his prime, it was like he was the precursor to Derrick Henry. And, like I saw this on NFL Reddit today. They were like, what's the take that you've had to walk back? And, I can remember vehemently campaigning for people to think of Steven Jackson as at least Derrick Henry's equal or possibly his superior. And I think had Steven played on teams like the Titans, maybe we'd be having a different conversation. But what Derrick Henry's done has been incredible. We just named 3 of the best big backs in the history of football.
That's right.
I just want to talk about Larry Csonka. There's some NFL news that's kind of swirling around. I don't know if you can call it news with the capital N because some of it is like slow news day news. Shout out to Kevin Clark. But we've got a couple topics. Take your pick. Where do you want to go first?
Tampering.
Okay, I know what it looks like. What it looks like to a fan is like the NFL doesn't really care about tampering, and that's true.
Like pornography, you know it when you see it, sort of situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Is there like a Mendoza line for porn?
Some politician said that when they were talking back, when the internet became a thing.
I also love the fact that like in today's world, people have recently discovered that porn's bad for your brain. And they're making it like a rallying cry for masculinity, like they just figured this out. All right.
Supreme Court Justice Potter Stewart famously said, "I know it when I see it."
Yeah, well, I know tampering when I see it. And what Kirk Cousins was doing was tampering because Kirk Cousins admitted it, like outright. They were like, "Hey, man, how's it feel to be a Falcon?" He's like, "Man, I was talking to everybody in the organization the last week." Whatever he said. But he kind of incriminated himself and the Falcons. And so there's been this long, run on anticipation of what the penalty is going to be because it's going to say a lot about what the league thinks or doesn't think about tampering. The Eagles have also been involved in talks about tampering this offseason because of the James Franklin snafu. James Franklin said that Howie Roseman and Saquon Barkley had talked leading up to, the legal tampering period.
Cheaters.
Well, here's the deal. People are going to react and say that Atlanta, who got docked a 5th-round pick and a couple $100,000 for tampering with Kirk Cousins, is getting off easy, and that the Eagles are getting off easy as well. I would say neither of those things is true. I think that like if you look at the NFL and what they want out of this, they want it to be a slap on the wrist that pacifies the general public, but people in the NFL also know that tampering exists. Like tampering is not something that's going away. Tampering is something that happens. It's not encouraged. But I think in this case, what happened was Kirk was probably talking to a trainer about his rehab process. And I've talked about this before. I think there should be exceptions that are made for players who are quote unquote tampering. They might be doing that for some very legit reason, like continuing his Achilles rehab. I don't want to assume that's what happened. I think the deal probably could have gotten done without tampering, but here we are. And I don't think if Kirk had admitted it, we'd be talking about it at all.
Right.
But to people that say this is nothing, like a 5th-round pick is something. Think about who a team's willing to give up for a 5th-round pick. Think about what a team's willing to send a 5th-round pick for. Like, these are draft picks that win or lose a draft. If you're Atlanta, you spent a 1 this year on a quarterback who's going to collect dust for a couple of years if everything's going according to plan. So, capital is not something you just throw away. So while I do think it's a relative slap on the wrist, and the NFL is saying like, listen, we're not going to bury you over this. We just want it on record that you shouldn't do this. Like, that's the way I see it. And for the Eagles, the reason they skated is because the guy who let it slip wasn't Saquon Barkley. It was James Franklin. And Saquon Barkley and James Franklin have plausible deniability when it comes to misinterpreting whatever it was that was said to James Franklin.
Don't you think people associated with teams are in relative constant contact with players during non-contact periods?
I do think it's more normal than people realize.
Yeah.
And so I don't think people in the league are up in arms. I think the Falcons might feel like, hey, we're victims. We were made an example of. But sometimes people have to make examples and not big blow up like, that Miami deal was a big thing. But it was brazen. It was overt. The owner was involved. That's why I think if you dug and you found out what what the nature of the tampering was in this instance.
I read
it was
something that somebody was talking about flights with him.
Well, and that's what they see. This is where I think the NFL is trying to give Atlanta a little plausible deniability in the announcement of tampering. You know, they said something to the effect of the policy permits clubs engaging in negotiating with free agents during the 2-day negotiating period, and that includes travel, logistical, etc. So I think what they're saying is,
Okay.
hey, don't be bad, even if you're being a little bad, because that's what Atlanta was doing.
Yep.
That's what I think they're saying. And I think the truth probably is that, you know, it was pretty inconsequential what was happening. And I think the NFL should look at amending tampering, the concept of tampering a little bit. I think half of why there's, you know, a defined run on legal tampering and where you can't talk is so that the NFL can funnel all this news at once. It's a business deal, right? So like there's no huge competitive advantage in my mind if Kirk knows he wants to go to Atlanta, and if Atlanta's talking to him and a couple days before he's talking to the trainers or setting up travel. It's bureaucracy, right? It's just like, it's red tape. You don't want to walk through it, but if somebody walks through it, we got to make a little example out of you.
Yeah, I think that's the right take. Probably more tampering going on at midfield after a game than, than
dude.
anything like this.
No question. No question. I remember, like, you talk about tampering in college. Like, I there's no tampering in college, right? But Deion Sanders at midfield talking to your player for 6 months there was like the most terrifying thing in the world. There's nothing like that in the NFL.
Yeah.
But there probably is a good bit of come get me, you know, at midfield.
Yep.
Right? Like, I was on the Rams for 8 years and we were losing a lot. Like, if I wanted to talk to a teammate and be like, yo, put in a word with your coach, like, I could do that.
Yeah.
I didn't do that.
You were
I'm a
blinking
glutton for
twice.
punishment.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so yeah, it's something, but it's not something big. And I think we'll forget about this pretty soon.
All right. Can I interest you in the future of Baron Brown's
Yes, you can,
NFL
dude.
career?
Yes, you can. And I have no fucking clue if this is unsound or if it's bad for the player or why he needs money now. But this dude, Baron Browning, has got some juice. And I've been unapologetically standing this guy. I've been like, I can't believe they made him an off-ball linebacker. Like, what took him so long to make him an edge rusher? He reminds me of Von Miller. I think I've said that before.
Yeah, so he's basically turned his own future contracts into an IPO that you can buy in and buy a piece. And if he makes over $100 million in his career, then you'll make money on your investment.
Well, explain that a little bit better, because
Browning is selling shares of his future earnings at $10 a share. They are selling 100,000 shares, which will raise $1 million.
right.
So he gets money right now, which is great for him because he'll get a little less than $1 million once this company Vestibule takes their cut, but he can get a big influx of cash right now. And if he makes over $100 million, which is like what the IPO is projecting him to make, that would be like a break-even number for
Well, he's
investors.
25. I think we're going to be looking at 2 contracts over the next 5-6 years, and he's got to hit him out of the park.
Let me just read the second and important part of this. In return, shareholders are entitled to a collective 1% of his future on-field earnings.
So it's hard to calculate if you give $10,000 what that's going to end up being. But tell me, if I give $10,000 to Baron Browning's fund and he makes $100 million, what I'm getting?
$10,000.
Yeah, you're breaking dead even. But if he makes $150,000, then you're making, or sorry, if he makes $150 million, then you're making $5,000.
Oh wow!
Hey, it's like
is
a good old money market
Yeah.
account.
But if he ruptures his Achilles this year, never plays again, or
Jesus,
decides to
Matt.
retire, you lose the whole $10,000.
And we can write angry letters to him.
Relax, man.
Listen, I just think it'd be really fun to pull for a player that you like, and when he gets paid, I can act like I get paid, even though I don't really get
Try this on for size, okay?
bonds.
Put $50,000 on Baron Browning week 1 over 0.5 sacks. Does that do anything for you?
No, there are limits on the bets you can place on props like that.
Okay.
For a reason.
All right.
Because they know ball knowers know that Baron Browning is going to have a big breakout year, and there's going to be a bunch of investors all rich, like the guys that are like, hey, Do you play in the Caribbean? Can you hit the ball 500 feet? I'll give you $100. You got to give me 500 mil. Like, this is a more benign version of that because
it's a win-win for him. Like, if he makes the $100 million, he only has to give away 1%. It's not a big deal.
I wonder if we see more of this.
That'd be 1 million.
I wonder if we see more of this, and I wonder why we would see more of this.
Insurance.
Well, there's just no, like, I don't understand why you would need the fast cash.
Well, for fans, it's another way to sports bet a little bit.
No question.
You know, cashing in.
I'm just talking about for Baron Browning.
Because his potential career earnings could be only what he's earned thus far. This guarantees larger career earnings no matter what.
Well, it only guarantees it if people are perceptive, like myself. I would love to invest 10 grand in Baron Browning, and once he becomes the greatest player of all time, I get like $2,500.
Browning is in the final year of his 4-year, $4.7 million rookie deal.
Bro, he's about to go off this year.
We should get him on the show and have him sell the idea.
Hey, Baron, sell me on yourself.
I'd like $1 million.
Yeah.
That's the.
What would it take for me to get? How much would he have to make over his career for me to make $100,000 on a $10,000 investment?
Like a bill?
One bill.
Yeah.
You never know. The people at what's the name of this place?
Vestibule.
They were like, we're really excited to hear you talk about this. I was like, you sure? Because I'm not sure I understand it yet, and I don't know that I'm going to be that excited, but I'm in.
And his future on-field earnings.
Do you think I could negotiate something here because of my?
I think you should be careful.
Insider
this is an
trading.
Official SEC IPO. Like, if you try to
drive up the
his
price
stock
of
artificially,
Baron Browning. How could I? He reminds me of Von Miller. No, he does. He really does.
Good.
That first step's incredible.
Yeah.
Think about the way the cap's going to go up. Could be $1 billion in 10 years.
With that ankle flexion?
Yeah, he could go to the Saudi league, dude. Like, we don't know. There's a lot of upside to this. Yeah, with that ankle flexion, yeah, you never know. I can't wait to tell my wife that I'm investing in Baron Browning. All right. Well, anyways, Vestibule. We'll get back to you. No, you know what? Fuck it. Fuck it.
Center of the table. Let's go all in.
Here's what I'm doing. It's not just about the money to me. I want to be Baron Browning's Brian Windhorst one day. You know, when he's the next Von Miller, you're going to need a windy, dude.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be me. And you're going to look back and be like, yo, you helped me down. 10K?
Yeah.
Like,
you can start at $10.
Mm.
You don't have to go to 10,000.
Yeah, but it's not going to get, like, if I get to, well, $10 is going to make me like $20. If that wouldn't be very
if he
fun.
has an exceptional career.
Yes, dude. I want when that $5,000 check comes in 10 years, I want to be like, I want to have a party. You know what I mean?
Yep. I only lost $5.
And I want to invite Baron Browning.
Mhm.
He's going to be so rich, he could probably just fucking buzz over in his G5, dude. He's going to be like Von Miller. And I think next year that if you sign Baron Browning, you're going to win the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't invested yet.
Shoot, he wears 56.
He does, dude. He looks great. He
a
looks
little bit like LT to me.
He looks way better than Chris Long did in that Eagles 56. When I see 56, that's how a 56 is supposed to look.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So, yeah, I just wanted to talk about that.
Are we on the Baron Browning topic or the tampering topic?
I think
It's
we're
like a little bit of a mesh.
Yeah. There's legality. There's relevant legality with both of these issues.
And with Sam Darnold. Well,
Is that a transition?
I don't. Speaking of legality,
it should be illegal to have Sam Darnold and JJ McCarthy.
Sam Darnold's getting first team reps with the.
How do you
Minnesota
feel
Vikings.
about this? Do you like it?
Yeah, I love it.
I love it. I think it's the way to go. I think when you have young players, you're always pulling a couple levers. One of the levers is confidence, right? And the other lever is pressure. And like, if you have a healthy dose of both, like, that player is going to succeed if he's good enough. At quarterback, it's complicated, right? Because the thing that can build a player confidence is getting in there and getting reps, but it can also kill his confidence. Like, and that's for any position player. So you have to be careful about how you insert a rookie into your plans, like, immediately. At quarterback, it's really important because you can wreck a quarterback, like, immediately. You can wreck a quarterback. The most important thing a quarterback has which is between the ears. If you run a guy out there and he doesn't know what he's doing and he is the talk of the town in a bad way, his first year in the league, there's more examples of it not working than it eventually working. And that seems obvious, but I really like the way they're going about this. And I think Sam Darnold, we said it last year, he got a little time against the Ravens. And you're like, all right, like he can run that offense. And the way we're talking about Brock Purdy, I'm not comparing the two, but Brock Purdy's a guy who's a franchise quarterback. He's a starting quarterback. Like I could see Sam Darnold being at least a bridge for a team who's competitive. And I'd like to see him have another opportunity. I know some people are like, you're a first-round pick quarterback apologist. No, I'm not. I'm not up here campaigning for Zach Wilson or, whoever the last 5 that flamed out. Where like I just see a little something in Sam Darnold that it doesn't look like your run-of-the-mill, like this guy can't play. It looks like they dropped this guy in Afghanistan and then they sent him to Iraq.
I'm not totally following you.
You know what I'm talking about. He's played for the Jets and the Panthers.
Got it.
Then he went to like the embassy in Bali in San Francisco. So like things are looking up. Now he's stationed in Fort Benning. You never know where you can get sent. And I think if they're starting him on this football team with Justin Jefferson and Hawkinson and whoever else they got offensively, like I think they're going to be fun to watch. And I think he's going to be fun to watch because I think the NFL and NFL fans, like we like second chances. We'll drag a guy through the mud for years, and then if he can redeem himself, like people get behind him. So I'm excited to see. And Aaron Jones, who Matt just threw up on the screen there, it's easy to forget he's going to be there on a $6 million deal. That's a threat out of the backfield if he can stay healthy. Like I am a buyer when it comes to Minnesota. I bet their season win total. Nobody knows better than me that Minnesota is like they're like the NFC Pittsburgh. I'm not saying they're physical. I'm not saying they're Tomlin's like O'Connell. But what I am saying is like he can coach, and I've seen them scratch and claw their way to 8-9 wins at least over his tenure. And they had Kirk for a lot of it, but last year what they did was like pulling a fucking rabbit out of a hat. They were starting Jaron Hall. They were starting Josh Dobbs. They were starting Mullins. And they still moved the ball. On the Lions at times, which is an asterisk last year, that secondary. But I really like this coach, and I want to see Sam Darnold get another chance. And here's what you do. By making Sam Darnold the starter and not playing one of these fucking head games that coaches like to play, where they hold their cards close to the vest, they might dangle some motivation over these two quarterbacks. Like both these quarterbacks want to do well. Once you understand the two guys you have in the building really want to win, you try to empower them both. And in different ways. And the best way to empower J.J. McCarthy right now is to sit him as long as you can. I'm not saying he's Mahomes. I'm not saying he's Brady. But those guys didn't start right away. And I'd also say this. When it comes to confidence, circling back to my original point, if you put him in the game, you can wreck his confidence, especially a guy coming from Michigan's offense to a pro-style offense that's going to, is going to major in throwing the ball around the yard. Sam Darnold, his confidence will improve, getting this news, getting an opportunity in camp, and the pressure is off J.J. McCarthy. And the pressure is off Sam Darnold, because I feel like if he's in the seat behind J.J., it's toxic because then he's rooting against J.J.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Sam's going to be much more willing to pass
lead
on what he knows
from the front.
Mentor, yes. And it's
you can trade
built-in confidence booster for McCarthy whenever they do hand him the ball.
Yes.
It's okay.
Yep.
I have now ascended.
I love this for Darnold. It's an opportunity. It's an audition because it might not be Minnesota, but somebody else might have Sam Darnold as their starting quarterback in 2 years.
Okay, question for you.
Who is that?
Well, where is the line of demarcation here when you go ahead and start the rookie? Washington, for instance, Jaden Daniels with Marcus Mariota.
I like starting Jaden Daniels there, even though I think he might get split in half. I mean, like
New England,
they can't protect him.
Brissett and May.
I would start Brissett. I think the cupboard's so bare up there. I would start Brissett and I would bring May along. And knowing what they've been through, I just mentioned Tom Brady. Like the model for them is development. Now, it's Gerard Mayo's team now. So I don't know. He might say, hey, young guy, we draft you to play, you know? But I saw it with Sam Bradford, okay? Sam's mentally tough as hell, but he got obliterated his first couple years. Like, there were games where, and I've told you about this, I can remember vividly playing the San Francisco 49ers, him having a high ankle sprain that was so bad he couldn't walk off the bus because he got sacked 13 times the week before, and him arguing with coaches trying to play. Like and you have to protect the player from themselves with injury, but you also have to protect young players from the NFL. You know, the NFL is going to chew you up and spit you out. And if you're a quarterback, such a mental position. I just don't love throwing guys in the fire. It's one of the reasons why I've tempered my expectations on the Bears. I would love to see the Bears win 13 games this year. I'll jump on their bandwagon and I'll wave a white flag and say I was wrong that they're going to win 9 games. But people assume that quarterbacks, even generational ones, can walk into a situation and improve it right away. Every situation is not going to play out like Houston and CJ Stroud.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's also scenarios we've seen play out with Joe Burrow, with Sam Bradford, who, in my opinion, once he was shot physically, it was a miracle he was mentally okay to take the field after those multiple ACLs and all the sacks and hits. And if you looked at our offense back then,
It was bad.
it was like malpractice.
Do you think the contract changing structure, like the rookie salary structure changing, affects the way that coaches and GMs think about it? 'Cause,
Absolutely.
Like Sam Bradford was getting, I think,
You gotta play him.
$50 million contract.
You got to play him. You know, back in the day when we came in the league and we were high picks, like, we had the expectations. We got the money, but the expectations were heightened. And I think for fans, the big difference is, like, fans look at these new CBA quarterbacks just the same as they look at the old CBA quarterbacks. It's not their money. They're aware of the implications with the salary cap, so I'm sure they like the new system. But there was a whole nother layer of pressure making all that money immediately, and that was the players on the team. And, like, you can feel those eyeballs when you're not playing well and you're making a lot of money and you're young. And I always remember this, like, thinking, they're giving me James Hall's reps. James Hall I should have to earn those reps. But I remember my D-line coach, Brian Baker, sat me down and was like, he's showing me footage of James Hall. We're in his office. First time I ever met him. And he's showing me an hour of James Hall. And he's like, you ready to beat this guy out? He's like, because I got to be honest, I don't think you can. He goes, but they need you to play right now. So if you're going to take his reps, you got to make sure that you feel good about that. And I'm like, I don't really feel like I have a choice in the matter. I'll run out of the tunnel whenever you want me to run out of the tunnel. I'll run off the sideline whenever you want me to run off the sideline. But that's a reality in the NFL. And so I think, like, these new guys don't have as much pressure on them in the building, but outside of the building, it's just the same. These fans want to see these guys play right now. I'd say just be patient, because the best thing for your organization might be giving this kid a beat, especially if you got a Sam Darnold.
And a really good, productive, encouraging rookie season does not necessarily mean anything for the future. 3 of the best rookie seasons in the last 20 years, RG3, Mac Jones, Baker Mayfield, who's having a little bit of a resurgence. But it seems like there are more success stories when the quarterback sits to start.
And Trevor Lawrence had to play. He had the Urban Meyer deal. People were like, yeah, I don't know. And then he looked great. And now there's an ebb and flow early in quarterbacks' careers. Yep. And the better you can control that process, the better it's going to be for your team and the outlook. And the new CBA is a terrific point, because now you don't feel like you have to. You don't feel like that draft pick has you by the balls.
Although there is still the opportunity cost of trying to win while that quarterback is on his rookie contract. So there's still some incentive.
No question. But it's a good problem to have,
right,
in my opinion, if you get 2 years out of Sam Darnold and one day JJ wakes up and he's like,
you're
fucking
in a great spot.
And in 2 more years, you got to pay the kid? Okay.
Green Bay Packers model.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I don't think Green Bay's like, fuck at this point. Green Bay's not like, oh, fuck, man, I wish we'd have played Jordan Love more on his rookie deal.
Right.
hey, we got a quarterback of the future, and this shit was seamless, dude.
Yep.
We went from a Hall of Famer to one of the brightest stars in the game. And from what I hear, J.J. McCarthy has wowed people with some of his arm strength, but has to work on making some of these touch passes. And one of the things that actually impressed me about him in college was some of the middle of the field throws, the intermediate stuff. I think once he gets the system down, there couldn't be a better coach to lead you and walk into a building. I mean, I know there are other offensive, like Andy Reid gets a bunch of credit, Sean McVay, who we've got on the show on Monday, but I think this guy in Minnesota is a whiz. I think he's going to be there a long time. And if he finds his quarterback, look out because he knows how to coach.
Speaking of, the NBA Finals now sit at 3 games to
Which
nothing.
was news to me this morning.
Yeah, that snuck up on you?
Really did. I was sitting here today looking at the start time of Game 3,
Mm-hmm.
which was tonight. And
And it's
somebody
Florida and Edmonton.
Well, so somebody said something about the Windhorse thing. Windhorse ripping Luka.
Yeah.
And I spent last night, like, I was at my wit's end. I just went upstairs after the kids went down, and I played Madden for 3 hours, okay? And it was awesome. I didn't look at my phone once, had no idea that one of the 4 major sports were playing in a championship game, okay? I blame you, NBA.
Oh, thank God.
Okay, it's on the backs of the conversation we had the other day. Like, I know it's my job to follow sports, but it's your job to give me some good sports to follow. And I guess Luka laid an egg, huh? Can't play defense. Windhorse is mad at him. Windhorse says he's never. What did he say? At the end?
Nobody in his life has ever, I don't know, stood
He
up to
doesn't
him.
have any people in Dallas or in his life that can get him straight, essentially, in terms of not complaining so much about the officiating and blaming the refs and trying really hard on defense.
And you know what my take is? I can't give a take because I didn't see the game. but you know what?
His defense was bad.
Which doesn't stop some people. But I would say this. My one take from the Windhorse commentary is that it's LeBron related. Maybe LeBron doesn't like him, and maybe LeBron doesn't like all the attention he's getting, and maybe Windhorse doesn't get the access, as you pointed out, that LeBron gives him or some other players give Windhorse.
In fact, Luka is probably the only guy that could maybe pass LeBron's all-time scoring record.
Well, not anymore. Not after that takedown from Wendy.
He's going to be tough.
May not play again.
I don't know if you can hide him out there. He's so bad defensively. I think you might want to start James Wiseman. Right, James Wiseman doesn't play for the Mavs, but since we're talking about the NBA, I'm going to let Reed play before Rick Carlisle. I'm going to let Reed play some audio of my son Waylon. So the other night we're in the driveway playing basketball. It was prompted by Waylon telling my wife Meg, who was actually a pretty good basketball player in high school. Not anymore. He said, I could beat you, Mom, because, sometimes she lets him win. And she goes, you really want to see? I'm like, okay, Hardo, get out there. So she beats him 10-0 by ones, right? And I got to watch the whole thing. And she's pounding her chest.
Kid's crying.
No, he's just like, man, this sucks.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, Waylon, give me the ball. I said, Meg, check up. She said, like, right now? I said, yeah. You just beat up on somebody 2 feet shorter than you. I'm going to do the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I just filleted her ass. Like it looked like the select team playing the dream team if it went how you'd think it would go,
You had a decent little fadeaway.
I had a decent fadeaway. Good footwork, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the taller players that give me trouble.
Reminded me a bit of Olajuwon.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, I end up just, again, it's the feminist thing to do. She don't want me to let her win.
Right.
So I dust her off 10-0. And Waylon gives us 10 minutes of solid gold videoing and doing his best Marv Albert impression on the side of the court. I'm going up, sinking these fadeaways, dazzling footwork, great handles. And he's calling me Giannis. He's like, and Giannis scores again, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. And he's actually pretty good with the pronunciation.
Yeah.
He's better than his dad.
He's a ball knower.
Perfect.
Ball knower. I check up to Meg, and he goes, and here we have, and here we have, And here's James Wiseman. and the funniest fucking thing to me about it is he knows so much ball that he's picked out James Wiseman as a guy that's like the antithesis of because he watches these fucking YouTube videos of all these nerdy white guys who are just shitting on NBA draft picks. And so he comes out of the YouTube portal and he's like, fuck James Wiseman.
It's embarrassing.
He's like,
that-
James Wiseman's not good. I'm like, whoa. I said, you will never be James Wiseman. Remember the thing about the white goats?
Right.
Like, Wiseman's got something you don't have, okay? First off. And second off, there's no bad players in the NBA. Everybody of any league, if you're going to claim there's no bad players in the league, like the NBA is the one to claim. Like, all those guys were the biggest heroes at every gym they ever fucking played basketball and growing up.
He averaged 7 and 5 this year.
7 and 5 in the NBA.
respectable.
That's now Micah Parsons said if he had 100 at bats, he would bat 200 in the majors. I don't know, Micah, about that, dude. But I will say I love this Micah and Stroud connection. They're out there it's like and they're a perfect pair. You know, it's a defensive player in Texas. It's an offensive player in Texas. Two best players in Texas. One's on defense, one's on the biggest football mecca in the United States. Although the pro teams have not been so great the last 30 years. But these two guys getting along is good for football, and it's funny to watch them making content. Because Micah is like a kid who says whatever he feels. And CJ is like an adult. And one that seems so it's not like he doesn't like Micah. I can tell he loves him, but he's like, this motherfucker. I cannot believe he said he would bat 200 in the bigs. Anyways, Waylon, 10 minutes of great play-by-play.
And he features in the Rick Carlisle interview as well.
He does feature in the Rick Carlisle interview. So shout out to Waylon.
Common thread.
And his NBA expertise, really.
Are we going to hear all 10 minutes?
No, we're gonna play you the best snippets here before Rick Carlisle.
All right.
Now we have James Wiseman here. and here comes James Wiseman. James Wiseman pulls back, air ball from James Wiseman. What is she doing out here? What is she doing? What would you like to say? What would you like to say?
Luke Long said it best. I'm working hard, but I'm losing. And,
Yep, you need a bigger body. That's right. That's right. Giannis steps back, fakes, good! Giannis Antetokounmpo! Here we got James Wiseman again.
Now, we have one problem with the Rick Carlisle interview. That's probably not going to be a big problem because nothing's changed in the series. But like, we recorded it 2 days ago.
Yep, it was 2-0. Now it's 3-0.
You know, and Rick said one thing that I want to disagree with him on, and he was like, "The Mavs could win it. They can't win it."
Well, in his defense, why don't we
In
play
his
the
defense, it
interview?
was 2 days ago.
Why don't we play the interview
Yeah.
and then maybe we can
Yeah, no question.
we can talk.
That's your
about it.
friend, man.
Yeah, that's my guy.
Yeah.